Hey guys, welcome back to FairyNerdy. I am Laura. Today we are watching the time-lapse paint of the piece that started it all. This is Hufflepunk. It's the second in my series of sort of punked out Hogwarts houses. And like I said, it's the one that started it all. I saw the term Hufflepunk and I just felt the need to find a way to represent it visually because I thought it was a really cool term, and I just wanted to see how that might translate into a visual medium. So let me just talk a little bit about a couple of differences between this video and my last video. You might notice this video is about twice as long as my Ravenclash video because, as someone rightly pointed out, my Ravenclash video, the time-lapse was a little bit too fast, so it made a lot of jerky movements, and so I did not speed this piece up quite as much. As a result, the video is a little longer. Ironically, the piece itself took me about half the time as Ravenclash. Ravenclash took me about 6 or 7 hours. Hufflepunk took me about 3.5 hours to complete. Although full disclosure, I did forget a few details while I was working and doing the recording, so I had to go back in and add those into the finished product later. But they were pretty small details, like the highlights in the eyes and shadows under her jewelry and stuff like that. Nothing that makes or breaks the piece, but you know, those little details that just add that extra something to make it a little bit better. So for Hufflepunk, I initially, when I drew the sketch, I had wanted to give her combat boots, but actually as I started doing the painting, I was like, this chick needs some bright yellow Converse. That is just going to look really cool. And it just seems like it goes with it. And I just really like the idea of somebody wearing some bright yellow Converse high tops in Hogwarts. I just thought that was fun. A little bit about my process. You know, which is really weird because I don't really have a process, so to speak. I don't really have a set way of doing things. With digital painting, again, I'm still learning a lot. I'm still, you know, figuring out what works the best. So I don't have a set process, but I mean, one thing I do prefer doing the original sketches on paper with just a regular pencil. I started using a blue lead pencil for no real reason other than it lets me use a traditional pencil to sort of finalize the lines once I get to that point. So I do prefer doing a sketch on paper and then scanning it into Photoshop and using it as a base for the painting rather than sketching directly in Photoshop. That's just, you know, a personal preference. It doesn't really mean much. It's just something I prefer. One thing I will say, I'm a lot happier on this piece with how the skin tone turned out. When I compare it to Ravenclash, it seems a lot more lifelike. Just a lot more realistic as far as skin tone goes. And also it's a lot more colorful. One thing about Ravenclash I noticed is that overall the piece was really muted. And this one just feels a lot brighter. And a lot of that probably is because of, you know, one of Hufflepuff's main colors is yellow, and so I incorporated that a lot into the piece. Obviously in her clothes, and also I sort of gave her a platinum blonde, bleach blonde fake hair color. You'll see later that I add some black roots to just indicate that, you know, maybe her hair color is not 100% natural, Although, of course, being at Hogwarts, it's probably a lot easier to color your hair than it is in the Muggle world. So she probably really doesn't have that many roots to worry about. Lucky her. Um, what else? What else? What else? I worked on the hair a long time because I really wanted it to have some dimension and stuff like that. As you can see, I added her wand in her ponytail. It seemed like a very Hufflepuff thing to do. And I mean that in the best way possible. Some of my best friends are Hufflepuffs, as they say. In the original sketch, I had a big H emblazoned on her shirt, but I decided to forego that because it seemed like overkill. And this is getting a little bit ahead of the video, but one of my favorite parts of this video is on her bag. Initially, I had several different pins or badges sketched out that I was going to add, and then I had sort of an epiphany, like, of course, Spew. And if you haven't read the Harry Potter books, or if you've only seen the movies and you aren't familiar with Spew, first of all, go read the books because you're missing out. Secondly, Spew is an organization that Hermione starts in the 4th book, which is the Goblet of Fire. Sorry, it took me a minute I was like, the Triwizard Cup. No, that's not the name of the book. But it's the 4th book, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, which is when they have the Triwizard Tournament. But the big deal is that Hermione starts Spew, the Society for the Protection of Elvish Welfare, just to promote equal rights for house elves like Dobby and the other elves they meet throughout the series, who are more prevalent in the books than they are in the movies. So again, if you haven't read the books, you're missing out on a lot of little details. I mean, personally, when they left Spew out of the movie, I was pretty happy about it. I wasn't a big fan of the whole Spew line initially, but I kind of like it now. And, I like that Hermione was very proactive and political in that sense. So I put a Spew button on this chick's bag because I feel like she probably would have supported Spew and would have been one to promote elvish welfare. It seems sort of a anarchical thing to do because it goes against years and decades of wizarding tradition. So now I'm working on the high tops, and of course they don't look exactly like Converse because, I don't know, do wizards wear Converse? I know doctors wear Converse, but do wizards? Because they should. But yeah, I really wanted that to be a part of her outfit. I thought about, instead of doing the typical star logo, I thought about making it a lightning bolt or something more Harry Potter centric, but I felt again like that would just be overkill. Like, we know that this is a Harry Potter themed piece. I don't need to shove it down your throat. So yeah. What else? What else can I say? I am still working on the Slytherin and Gryffindor versions. So they'll be coming up soon. So definitely stay tuned for that. If you watched my previous video and you came back for another one, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. YouTube and sharing my artwork in this way is, again, it's new to me. It's something I've wanted to do for a long time, but I finally worked up the courage and the nerve to share myself and my artwork in this way. So I appreciate your taking the time to watch it. I appreciate you taking the time to comment and like and subscribe and share. As you can see, now I'm working on the button, and I was like, yes, Spew! It was just fun. These are fun pieces. These aren't super serious, like, ideas. They're just fun to do, you know, and I really enjoy doing artwork of stuff that I love. So, you know, I love Harry Potter, so I love the opportunity to work on representing that visually, and I hope you enjoy it too. Um, you know, if you have any questions about how I work or the techniques I use, feel free to ask. I have no problem sharing if I can, because like I said, I don't have much in the way of a solid process, but you know, if you want to know how I work, I am more than happy to share that with you. And so now we are at the final product. Again, thank you so much for watching and for visiting FairyNerdy. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you like these videos and want to see more. And please remember to follow me on Facebook and Instagram for more information. Again, it will be linked in the description box. And I hope to see you next time.